vote, this thing works. So there's a trick when facilitating that if you raise your hand or see someone raise their hand, you also raise your hand and then stop talking at the same time. It's really cool to see everyone start raising their hands. But it doesn't work in an audience that's never heard that before. Somebody just like a little, sort of silly.
So you're a test.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
You want to be lead MC?
I can be lead MC.
So we're going to go ahead and get started. Because it's on time. I like to be like Gandalf, show up precisely at the right time. So my name is Chase. I'm with CA Technologies. CA Technologies acquired Rally Software about a year ago. So if you're familiar with that company. But we're a fairly large company, so we have headquarters here in Boulder, and we also have a Denver office right above Tattered Cover in Waikiki. And now, so Rally Software was about 500 people or so, and now we're up to like 11,000 in CA. So a little bit of a different scale. So I'll be talking about kind of Agile culture that deals with kind of those types of scale. And then this is Andrew, one of my favorite people. He'll be talking about more of the startup side. He runs Waffle.io. That's why I love this picture, because it looks like, you know, Inc. versus like Fortune magazine. But anyway, so we get him started off. But the way that we're going to run this is through being coffee. And so Andrew is going to start.
So we're using this ball. Whenever you're holding the ball, you can talk. And it's not just for me and Chase, so we'll be throwing this back and forth a lot. But we love to involve all of you. But we also want to have one conversation at a time. So if you're holding the ball, you're speaking until you're no longer holding the ball. Sound good? Everyone seems super excited about talking. All right, cool. How many of you have heard of Lean Coffee before? Anyone? One person, two. Sweet. All right, how many of you are frustrated that meetings never have an agenda and you just have meetings forever? A few more. All right, cool. So Lean Coffee is a style of meeting, and we're going to use it for a way to run a talk as well. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So we'll switch it back.
So the way Lean Coffee works is you have a list of topics, and then you vote. Whoever's in the meeting votes on what topic you want to talk about first. So this topic is Agile culture in Denver. It's a very, very broad topic. So the way we decided to break that down is have 8 different tiny talks. So we prepared 8 different lightning talks, so to say, but they're sort of conversation starters. We want to involve you in all those conversations. So we want you to actually vote on which ones you care about hearing about and talking about. I'll show you a URL in just a second so you can actually vote. So once we pick a topic, we'll run that for 7 minutes exactly. You might go under a little bit too. And then you all can vote whether you want to keep talking about that or not. So thumbs up means this is a great topic. I love talking about it. Let's keep discussing it. Thumbs down, okay, this is boring. I'm not engaged. Let's move on to something more interesting. And then somewhere in the middle is, I can go either way, not really that passionate, but it's curious. So we need a majority of thumbs up to keep talking about it, and we'll add 5 minutes to the timer. So we can keep talking about the same thing if it's interesting, otherwise we'll just move on to the next topic. Make sense? All right, sweet. How do you?
Always right.
There we go. Look at that. Present. Cool. If you guys can go to that URL, we are actually going to wait until at least one of you votes to know what we should talk about. So that's bit.ly, /Lean Coffee Denver. If someone can raise their hand once they've gotten there and been able to vote, that'd be awesome.
Or at least let us know what type of Pokemon you just caught.
That too. I guess we forgot that the Wi-Fi is a little spotty, so this could be a little rough. All right, let's keep trying it. Keep trying it. Hey, we have a couple votes. Look at that. All right, let's give it a minute. This distributor code data is winning. 9 Nice. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Keep voting because before we pick the next topic, we'll come back to this list. Oh, now we have developer-driven project management talk. All right, cool. Let's do that one then. Votes, 13 votes. All right, cool. What do you guys think I mean by developer-driven project management?
You managing your own projects as a developer?
Nice, cool. So developers actually deciding what to work on. It sort of sounds like a mystery, right? Because like project managers do project management, not developers. But what if developers could do project management? Oh, I forgot to click start. All right, start timer. There we go. How many of you are engineers? I am, about half. How many of you are product people? You manage a backlog for your day job? A lot fewer. All right, cool. So this is a topic for both of us, and sort of how do we work together? What if we do what you said and just let engineers do whatever they want? How many of you have seen this before, or maybe experienced this? Yeah, cool. So I think that developers, so a company even running it that where engineers select what they should work on is pretty awesome. I think it can actually work. I think it works for startups. How many, can you think of a company that actually does this, where engineers are responsible for deciding what to work on? Dave? Yeah. That's the one example I can think of. So early days of GitHub, of course, they're a product built by engineers for engineers. So when you're actually your own customer, it works out a little bit better. But I think that as GitHub scaled, everything started blowing up. There's a team based in Boulder that does search, and they never got the right funding. They would be building search, they would be working 24/7 because their servers were going down, and they couldn't convince the ops team to actually give them resources. And the reason that didn't work out is because the ops team had their own initiatives. It's like once you have many teams and they're all self-selected for what to work on, it's really hard to collaborate if you don't have this overall mission. But I want to ask you, what are we really trying to accomplish with project management? What do you guys think? What's the point of project management?
To keep the process going.
All right, to keep the process going.
To create a separate line of communication so that basically minor updates don't completely throw off the developer's ability to work.
Gotcha. Yep. I've been meaning to throw this around, so I'm going to start doing that now. Totally breaking my own rules. So I would distinguish there's two categories. One is the work. Let's keep developers focused. Let's keep the project on track. In general, I would say that's let's make sure we're doing the right thing for the right person at the right time. And then know hey, we thought we would ship this thing. Are we actually going to be able to ship it? And maybe the business level, we're actually going to make money. Maybe that's something that our company actually cares about. So how do you align the work we're doing with the end goal for the customer? But I think there's a lot more to it. It's about us as people, right? How many of you, if you're an engineer, you just absolutely love showing up every day and just pulling the next piece of work. You don't really care about the impact. You don't care about what the end result will be. You just love just doing coding without the context. Awesome. I actually think that a lot of engineers love that. That you really care about the technical challenges, right? But what if we actually could involve engineers more in the actual planning process? All right, we're halfway through our time around talking a lot. So some crazy ideas. So I run Waffle. In a Waffle, we're a startup, but inside CA Technologies. I think as a startup, you have to learn how do you actually create a culture where your team is passionate about the direction you're going. It's because if you want to, a large company like CA, you can show up, you can pull your 40 hours, you can go home, and you can just do your work. And that's great for CA because we have to figure out how to be sustainable and predictable with the way we do development. I think when you're a startup, there's alignment towards a mission. Let's make sure we're doing they're doing the right thing for the customer. How many of you, as engineers, love talking to customers? Okay, a couple. How many of you would never ever want to talk to a customer because talking on the phone is not that great? So we started doing this thing where we do customer development interviews a lot. So we call a customer up, we ask them how the product's going for them. We really try to learn, are we building the right thing? But we don't make an engineer actually do the interview. We'll have someone from UX or a founder type person do that interview. But we'll have an engineer take notes. I think what happens when you do that is the engineer just isn't there sitting in a meeting that's pointless. They're actually doing something that's worthwhile. And they're learning. They're learning what that customer's experiencing. You start to build this ability for everyone on the team to understand the why behind what we're doing. So I think you can start to create this culture where engineers are always involved in what we're building and how we're building it, but you start to build this trust for the why. You're not just trusting your project manager to make those decisions, but you're also involved like, oh, I know that customer, I know why we're doing this. That's going to help them improve performance or something. So I think like trying to figure out tricks to bring the engineer closer to the customer and closer to that why is pretty cool. You guys have any other ideas? Here, let's try this.
What are some of those tricks that you use?
That was scary. Yes, the one that we do is doing our own support. So anytime, so we have like 12,000 users that are on our cloud app, and anytime a customer talks to us, it's the whole team's responsibility to actually talk back. What it's talking about is taking notes when we're doing customer development. That helps too. But whatever relationship that you can build with your customer is pretty cool. Like even Twitter. So like it's sort of scary to think about giving like your engineer keys to the Twitter castle. But maybe it's like it's like marketing is sort of scary.
Why is that scary to give the developer control to the Twitter and Facebook? Like I develop for Facebook and Twitter, or I do that. But why is it scary for you to give over that control?
You guys tell me. Is it scary handing engineers control to your corporate Twitter account?
Yes.
All right, why?
Yeah, why?
This is hard. Here, Chase.
Well, this is funny. So I'm actually part of the marketing side, and we just had this conversation, right? And so it kind of shows the dynamics of it, because we're trying to spin up a new Twitter handle, any access to it, and CA is so large now that there's a lot of teams. I think once you realize that type of capacity, you have social management teams, and they do that, and there's all these keys to the castle. But I think a lot of it, there's fear of tone of voice, and how, because a lot of brands want to maintain consistency, and some developers are not that consistent in their tone of voice. So I think that's one of the fears, right? Whether it's valid or not. But that's one of the fears that I've seen actually just in my role. So.
How do you bridge the gap between the fear that you have and the confidence that I have in developing? So I want to get together, sit down, if you need a new Twitter handle, let's sit down and get that new Twitter handle baked out. If you need the confidence for me to do that, let's sit down and I'll show you what I'm going to do with the access you give me. Is that a way that you think you could bridge that gap? Or do you think there's a better way that you could bridge that gap?
Yeah, so personally, just because I had this call earlier last week, call anyway, I'm talking on this topic. We just use Hootsuite and manage it, and we stage gate all our content, right? And so now we're actually opening it up and be like, we want all the technical documents, we want memes, we want everything that relates to that voice that we want to convey. But there will be a stage gate process, right? And I think once you establish that trust, right, it's kind of similar to dating in a sense, right? Because you're opening yourself up socially to that type of relationship with your customers, and some customers, and I'm using CA as an example, right? Because we sling mainframes still, and we have one voice that's very business focused, and we're trying to create another voice that's very developer focused. And more often than that messaging has to be farther away, because developers don't like any of the business messaging, right? It's actually, it's an allergic reaction to it. And so a lot of it's just that trust. Time's up. Sorry, folks.
Do you guys want to keep talking about this? Thumbs up? All right. I feel like we're mostly don't care now.
Yeah. We'll move on.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else is there. All right. Distributed or co-located. That's also my topic, but I like to talk very quickly so that I can stop talking as much. Nope, actually, I switched. I think we're at culture is more than agile. That was all you.
Oh. Well, this one will be quick because I didn't have much. I'll show you my slide. All the way up. There one. The monster.
Nice.
So that's it. And this was actually the title picture on the website. I like this photo. And I'll give a little bit of experience too, and so we'll kind of lead into another topic because kind of through the acquisition, you see a lot of the changes in culture specifically, right? Whereas our agile practices are pretty much the same. And this is something that we see in a lot of different customers too. And it's a reminder that whatever we're talking about today, the kind of agile and the practices that you have in your own organization and how your teams work, whether it's either scale or startup, it's really important to maintain culture overall and what that means to your teams. So for us, it was a really interesting fight because our engineering teams were actually the only offices in CA that was allowed to have booze on it still, right? So we had kegerators, we made the fight for it. We actually have a whiskey corner in our Denver office. And so it's an interesting fight because some of those small things really matter because they're kind of carrying the coal mines for some of the culture that we wanted to maintain. So a lot of the product process stayed exactly the same, and it's actually expanding within the rest of the organization, right? And bleeding over into other products that this way of working is still rather new to them, including ceremonies and things of that nature. But it's really important to enhance some of the culture, and it's kind of like a "don't forget where you came from" type of motto. Because more often than not, a lot of people, it's not fun for that, right? And so if you can be your own advocate and invite your own team to create that culture, that's much more important than whatever trying to process change or kind of make people's lives easier. Because if they care about the culture, they'll do that inherently themselves. That's all I got.
You guys want to add anything to that?
Oh god. Alright, I'm done throwing balls.
Yeah, let's walk it around.
I feel like one of the most important parts of culture is trust. It seems like if you have, when you
Am I going to listen to Cafe Art tonight?
if you lose trust between, say, like different departments or different people inside of an organization, it seems like what sometimes happens is that the process comes in to fill the void, and then nobody's happy.
Totally agree with that.
That's better.
Yeah, I think the first agile value is the people interactions over processes and tools, and I think it's the thing that people screw up the most. Is that if you have the people and they're doing the interactions that add value, the processes and tools don't matter that much, and they can change. They can be chaotic, they can be fixed, they can be whatever if they're supporting those people and their interactions. And I think that that's like another way, really, of saying culture.
Totally agree. That's a great point.
The other thing I wanted to say about that is we're seeing in the consulting world be a big pain point is where the agile culture becomes basically nothing more than a buzzword among the developers is that they have stand-ups, but that it can't be strictly a culture within the development side of the company. It has to really be in the sales and in the project management. and in everything in between, because, you know, if you have a company selling a fixed bid project and then they set up sprints internally, that's basically just means you're gonna have like really wonderful greenfield sprints at the beginning, and then the same death march at the end.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And actually, one of the things we're trying to do is transform our marketing organizations to be an agile marketing organization. But you can't really do that if sales is run the same way with the same commitments, and then some of the products we're supporting aren't that way either, right? So it is, you do need buy-in at different levels for that to give it a shot. Right, I'm not seeing anything else. Should we just go ahead with the voting?
Yeah. All right. Distributed or co-located?
Yeah.
Everybody voted? All right, so I think it's not just is your team totally distributed or totally in the same room. I think there's this middle ground too, where you have a team in one location and a team in another location. So 3 sort of different types of distributed versus co-located that we'll talk about. How many of you work on a team where every person or most people are working from home or in different offices? A couple, okay. How many of you are the opposite, where everyone has to show up to the office almost every day? Okay, half and half. What about the third option, where you have distributed teams, where teams are located in like the same office, but you have other teams in different offices? Wow, we're like split across all of them. How many of you like Legos? Okay, cool. So I've experienced all of those, and I really want to hear your thoughts on what works best. So my opinion, the same office is really, really awesome if you're trying to figure out what the heck we're doing. So if you're like starting a new project or a new company or something, whiteboards in the same room is pretty critical, and just tooling just isn't quite there yet to make figuring stuff out easy and distributed. You guys agree with that? Nodding heads? Okay. What about personality stuff? How many of you just love being around other people every day? I do. How many of you like love working from home where you have to hop in a video chat every once in a while? Okay. Awesome. So what do you guys think the same office where everyone has to show up to the same office every single day? What do you think that's best?
Kind of never at the moment.
Never?
I don't feel it's best if you go in every day in the office and
Do you find it's because meetings are created for the sake of meetings, or you play too much ping pong and foosball?
no, it's not that I need to play at work. It's not that that you need a calculator or anything like that. Meetings need to get done. Meetings can get done in lots of fashions. Some people believe that you need to come in to get those meetings done. We can voice it in, we can Skype it in. There's lots of things you can do. So right now I feel like going in every day is not necessary.
Does anyone else sit on the opposite side, where you really love coming to the same office most days?
Yeah, like a thing that I think is really valuable, and one of the reasons you see co-location being so highly valued in the Agile community is you use the space. So not only do you have things like kegerators or whatever, like kind of cultural artifacts, you also have things like boards that you don't have to log into to look at. You're always looking at notes, ideas that you're kind of surrounded by. And while there are like digital tools that do those things, there's all these like parts of the experience that add a lot of friction to the process that doesn't exist in a co-located space. And like, while you can call an impromptu meeting or something with a hangout or something, people tend to not do that in the same way. Like, oh, hey, just seeing you reminds me. You got a couple minutes to chat? That people don't naturally engage in online.
I do think there's something to be said for working with people. It does breed a little more creativity than being on your own, as well as you're stuck on this like super funky function or something's not right, you need support. I don't know, in my 4 months doing this like half week in the office, half week out of the office, getting support in person is just so much more beneficial than trying to like, are you available? No, not right now. Half hour I can Zoom you, and then like you kind of lose some of the momentum that you may have had. I don't know, I just find it's more productive from that standpoint.
I'm actually kind of in between the two. I didn't know if you were going to ask a third one. I think it was going to be a mix, but it didn't sound like it. I think having an office to go to, but not it being every day is what's important. Because I think when you have to be there 9 to 5 every day, you get that like need to create meetings. But at the same time, I've had issues with completely distributed culture where people will just go hands down for like 3 days and not collaborate to solve the problem. So I think there's actually some harmony to the balance of that inconsistency where like someone will work from home 2 days a week that are random or something like that, but you all know that like you have at least 1 or 2 overlapping days that you can do all those meetings, collaboration, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah.
I think just we work for the U.S. government, so for us, we're always sort of fighting this culture battle to bring Agile and bring this innovation in. So for us, I think
It's not funny, I'm sorry.
being there is important to sort of have a critical mass in the office to kind of keep this momentum going, and just kind of trying to change a larger culture really helps to have a team that's mostly there to kind of just be the carry the banner from within.
Awesome.
I found interesting that, like, I don't think we talked about very often, is that, and maybe it's just a personal thing, but it can be incredibly hard to actually, with a remote meeting, it takes, I think, triple the focus to get the same level of attention to it as in person. Maybe it's because you're just hearing it off, you don't have the eye contact bringing you in, or something like that, but I think there's probably lower overhead to keeping engaged with the meeting in person.
So meetings could be more efficient if we're all in the same room. Let's make sure to talk loud because there's a fan in the back.
Well, on that note, there's a lot of like subconscious things that your brain processes when you're in person with like body language and tone, and how you can walk into a room and without even hearing anything, based on like how people are sitting, you can tell a lot about the mood of that room that you don't get any of those cues in a hangout.
How many of you do pair programming? Only a couple? Do any of you do remote pair programming? Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah. Come on. So a third of you were completely distributed. Is that work from home, or you have people in different time zones as well? How many of you have different time zones on your team? Is that painful, or does that work out okay?
Very painful.
Painful? Timer's up. You guys want to keep talking about this or move on? I feel like mostly up. Wow, we've got a thumbs up. A few people were disappointed about that. All right.
Another 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right, 5 minutes. What are some tricks to dealing with time zones? I'm asking you because I don't know if I figured it out. Yeah.
The biggest thing I've seen is that if people who are way farther out can accommodate their schedule, obviously that seems like only the majority, it's easy to say that, but it does make it a lot easier if they can just shift to overlap as much as possible, so you're not constantly depending on a perfect handoff every single day in order for them to get their work done.
Gotcha. So try to have the people who are remote shift a little bit to accommodate.
If they're extremely far out. Like we have, in my case, we have Hawaii and Kiev, or the produce department.
Hawaii and Kiev.
So they need to bring them closer together, else they'll never talk to each other.
Gotcha. So for my team, we're a team of 6, and right now there's someone in Alaska, someone in North Carolina. I was in Crested Butte yesterday, and we have 2 people in our core office. And the way that works for us is the person in North Carolina shows up a little late, so it works from like 10 to 6-ish. person in Alaska works from like 7 a.m. to 3. So we try to keep mountain time as our core, and then we just try not to schedule over other people's lunches. So have meetings 4 in the morning or 4 in the evening, so you can get as much work done as possible if we have to have a meeting. Or just use something like Slack or Flowdoc just to have async communication where you can ignore it until you want to step away from the work you're actually getting done. What tools do you guys use to make it easier to do remote stuff? See that? Zoom for video, or like Hangouts or Appear or Room or all those different ones. Slack.
We actually use TeamSpeak, which is usually used for gaming, but it is rock solid. You can just log on and there's like a voice room basically, so you can instantly say, okay, let's meet there, like do the whole call back and forth, and just instant on talking.
Cool. What was that called again?
TeamSpeak,
TeamSpeak.
typically used by gamers, but
For gaming.
Yeah, like we do the same thing with Vent, done that before. It's the same kind of idea, and it's amazing. It's like so low overhead.
yeah.
We use Forward HQ to share our local dev environments to anybody in the world.
Board HQ.
So it's good for visual aids.
I was just curious if anybody had any more suggestions about time zone differences, because we're like almost perfectly split team between here and Berlin. We get about an hour to 2 hours of overlap, and it is really hard to do like planning in 2 hours. So we've been struggling a lot to kind of come up with different solutions to that problem. So I don't know if anybody else here has experience with that kind of split, but I'd love to hear ideas.
All right, so here in Berlin, how do you do planning between the two teams?
I used to work for a startup, and we had used developers in India, and to communicate with those developers in India was downtown Denver. I had to come in early to communicate with them. And I thought that was interesting since we paid them. They were like, we paid them money. Shouldn't they adjust to me? But to solve that problem, I adjusted.
What do you guys think? So what works for us is when we have remote teams, it works best if they're working on separate stuff so that you don't actually have to come to the same room as often. And then whenever we do, so we'll do big room planning every quarter with all of our teams. We'll fly them into the same room. So once a quarter, you're paying a lot of money to have them in the same room, but you can spend 2 days, you can align your roadmaps, you can work mostly separately, and then do hangouts for a bit of overlap. It still sucks whenever you have like a 2-hour meeting, like once a week or something to do planning. And here in Berlin, someone's gonna have to stay late or wake up early.
Yeah, we get the 2 hours by coming in early and they stay late.
Yeah.
And we only do it a couple times a week.
Someone's drinking coffee and someone's drinking beer, which works out okay.
Yeah.
Pull requests get reviewed overnight for us, so that's great.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Overnight code reviews. It's like a service. What else? Any other tips for working across time zones? We have like 1 minute left. Hang in there. Yeah.
All right, so we have had developers in Korea, Egypt, Germany, and Lithuania simultaneously.
Sounds crazy.
What typically happened is we split off into 2 separate sub-teams, so that the people on one sub-team had sort of a similar-ish time zone within 2 or 3 hours.
Right. Okay. I feel like we've run out of steam. Should we vote on moving on? So keep going, move on. All right, we're moving on. What's next? How to enforce short stand-ups. Oh, did someone else create that?
That's awesome.
Cool. That is not one of our topics. That's awesome. You guys created that and voted for it. Let's start it. Would the person who created that topic want to like kick us off? Who was it? All right.
Got some votes. All right, so one of the problems that my team typically has is we get to our stand-up, and then each person says, here's what I'm working on, here's what I did yesterday, here's what I'm working on today. Oh, by the way, I'm extremely stuck on this one thing. And then begins a 30-minute conversation of everyone jumping in and trying to solve that person's problem. And by the time we're done, there's 4 of us, we've spent like nearly 2 hours. That's an exaggeration, probably like 30 minutes.
2 hours or 15 minutes. Gotcha.
Still long.
Yeah. All right, so just a few ideas from our experience, and then we'll open up to everyone else. There are 2 ways to do stand-up. You can talk about each individual or talk about the work. So if you use like a Kanban board, you can go through every card, starting from the right side column, that this is in news review, this is in progress. You can just try to keep even a timer per item, like 15 seconds. Tell us what your status is and whether you're blocked, and just make it about the work. And that works out okay if you trust your team, and you know everyone's working on the right thing. Or you can talk about each individual. So what did you personally work on, and are you blocked, and how can we help you? I think the only other idea is to keep a parking lot. So that's a common Agile concept for doing meeting facilitation, that anytime there's an off-topic thing that comes up, you'll have like a board somewhere, just like say, hey, this isn't a parking lot, let's address this right after stand-up. Let's move on for now so we don't forget about it. All right.
Yeah, to that point, we have a rule that if there's a volley that goes back 3 times, we table it until the end, and then we can finish, and whoever wants to stay on to discuss it, we move forward.
Great. Yep.
It's one of those things that I think if you're doing Scrum, the Scrum Master is kind of for. Since they're not like directly engaged in the work, they don't do the problem solving or anything. They can focus on, oops, we're solving problems right now. Let's table this, let's parking lot, icebox, whatever. But reminder, purpose of the stand-up is just to talk about what you're doing, what you did yesterday, what you're stuck on, to identify them, not solve them. That's something like a good, strong Scrum Master can have a lot of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a smaller team, so if you don't have like a dedicated Scrum Master, we take turns of who plays that role. And then when I do it, I know if we start to get on the topic, I bring a computer and I like physically set up a meeting with people, and then they know like, okay, we have this dedicated time to talk about it afterwards. But I think rotating that responsibility is really helpful, because it's not just one person saying it, at least for a small team.
Yep.
We made each person stand on one leg, and that's saying it speeds it up.
Stand up.
So you guys should start doing that when I'm talking here. Yeah.
If it's a problem you're trying to work on, you could retro your stand-ups right afterward. Like, okay, how well did we hear this thing that we're trying to do? And if you have to say that a bunch of days in a row, like, that went too long, like that feedback loop, might get your stand-up shorter.
Because of the company Pivotal, they're sort of big now. Every morning, they have a company-wide stand-up at exactly 9 a.m. So they do 100% pair programming. Everyone works 9 to 5 exactly. And from like 9 to 9:15 is a company-wide stand-up, and they can be just very efficient because they have to. So I think to your point, just keep track of it and retro it. Yep.
We moved our stand-up to 11:45.
Change the
One,
time.
people who come in the morning and are stuck at trying to talk to people, and 2, everyone's hungry, so they want to get out of there. It's a scary one.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it goes off topic because they're looking to solve something because they're not prepared for the stand-up in the first place. So I think focusing and having people actually prepare for the stand-up prevents people from going off topic and following back and forth.
Yeah, and I think actually moving the time of your stand-ups is helpful in that, because like then people actually have the time to come in and be like, what am I doing today? Because usually the stand-up is the first thing that they're like, now I have to spend 30 seconds on the phone trying to listen about what you're trying to say and think about what I'm going to say next. So yeah, sure. Speaking of that, one of the things that we've done is respect the remote. So everyone who calls in on the bridge goes first. Because more often than not, people on the phone are doing something else, multitasking, and so they're actually pretty quick. And so they set the pace for the people inside the room that would kind of read the body language and usually have those conversations. And another thing is that we'll schedule ours for 30 minutes, but the first 15 has to be stand-up, and then the last 15 is buffer, time just set up for that conversation. So if no one has any topics over the next 15 minutes back, that is like covered, and they don't have to like run off to another meeting. But if they do need to have that conversation, they already have time built in, and so that they can bring in all the context from the stand-up that just happened into just that 15-minute kind of like mission control center. So that's one of the things that I've seen. Any others?
Cool. I don't think we need to vote if there's nothing. We're not
Yeah, what's next?
being agile with a non-agile acting coworker. Who wants to start that one? Okay, it's not ours.
10-second description of your problems. Bring out a couch and talk about it with coworkers.
Yeah. So we say we're an agile shop, and clearly we're not. We try to be, but the business is pushing us to waterfall. I'm realizing this now that there are no waterfall technology in this shop. So how do you say you're agile and not be agile, keep saying you're agile? How do you move away from just talking about it and becoming agile?
That's a great question.
Hire a coach.
Yeah, hire a coach. If you're looking for services, I can hook you up. It's an interesting one, and I'll kind of paraphrase some of the product leadership that we have in CA. So when Rally a couple years ago was actually farther away from Scrum, and they're focusing on Kanban, but doing Kanban in a very funky way. And one of the things that I think really helped, and I'll kind of ask you, is what metrics are you tracking to kind of get to that point? Because then usually if you're tracking time, cost of delay, and all those other kind of unhealthy anti-patterns that go along with waterfall, and kind of keeping track of those. Because there are a lot of times where you'll go in organizations where we have customers that are like, yeah, we're doing Scrum but, right? So like, oh, we do a stand-up, but we also have 5 other meetings just to talk about what we're doing today. And we'll have sprint planning, but then we never have people who manage the dependencies in the room, so we've done another planning meeting with that team, and so there's a lot of ways that kind of go into that. One of the things that Andrew talked on, and that I think helps too, is if you can get your product team on a similar cadence, even if you're managing multiple teams, this is where it becomes brutally important. But having a ceremony like a big room planning where everyone comes in over 2 days, maps the dependencies for the quarter, and create that's usually where you'll see, the skeletons start to come out a little bit more during that, because then you can no longer have like 1 or 2 sprints just kind of planned out and not worry about the rest, like the other 5 that are coming down the pipe. You have to have those conversations that are reggie, which is like ready, except better. And have those conversations that way. So that's one thing that's in the go for it.
I will say, like you mentioned the get a coach thing at the beginning. My company brought in a coach about a year ago, and I thought, like, I can't believe this is an entire job. Like, what is this guy even going to do? But it's actually been way more helpful than I ever would have expected to have someone just sort of keeping all these things from spiraling out of control into some weird monster nobody understands. It does help a lot, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of so I work with a lot of coaches, and the things, the core principles of what they teach they haven't changed, right? So the core principles of Agile, and if you're practicing Scrum or Kanban or Lean, but it's the discipline around that that's really hard. So like the methodology is simple, but kind of having that enforced in day-to-day practices, and having a retrospective where it doesn't feel like the blame game, like that's really hard to facilitate and like create that culture of trust. But once you have it, it enables so much more. So that balance.
I think a way that you might be able to sort of seed Agile and grow it is if you could do it on a smaller team that is insulated from the rest of the company. Like to do that, you have to have a strong, brave manager who's not afraid of being fired, because they're basically going to be running interference on all the non-agile parts of your organization that are fucking with whatever's keeping you from being agile. But I think they can, a good manager can act as a shield around those things. So you're able to develop this at a smaller level, and then hopefully you can point the successes from that and broaden that over time.
We have an interesting process where we create tickets for every task, and technically we get about 72 hours to do something that could potentially take 15 minutes. And some things get a deadline of more like a week or something like that. So we, as engineers, get the ability to just do those 15-minute tasks and kind of build up a little bit more time for ourselves, and then take more time on things that take a little bit longer, and it protects us from having to just keep knocking things out.
So you have SLAs with like different team members and what's expected and when.
Yeah, because the people who are assigning these tickets don't exactly know how long it's going to take. So it's interesting to like assign different length deadlines for different tasks. Let us decide what's going to take longer.
When starting out, kind of going back to you guys how this whole thing started. I mean, we sort of started a more of an agile sprint process for the last few months, and seeing more of the senior people and the like preaching patience on a new process, I think is really, really important. And like we have to reiterate like over and over again in the very beginning, just like this is new, like we're working out kinks, like we brought in a UI guy, so like how do his tasks affect us as developers, like just the whole cycle. And I think we're finally at a good pace at the moment, but just preaching patience in the beginning, I think is paramount.
We're almost at time, so I'll finish before we vote. There's just a few ideas around how do you actually adopt Agile. It's hard, right? It's like slowing down a speed up. If you're coming from like waterfall, you have a cadence with a fixed deadline, fixed scope, fix everything, and then you blow it, right? And then the promise of Agile is how can we make shorter increments and still deliver the same things, but you're trying to change this whole culture mindset, which is the purpose of this talk. Because Agile is not just how you do work, it's the culture around actually making commitments too. So I think it's sticking with the process. It's doing sprint planning, it's doing retrospectives, and you need both because you have to reflect and adapt. And you have to have buy-in to be able to do that, but it takes time. So let's talk about like sprint planning. You'll go through, you actually estimate your work. You can use like a metaphor like rocks. So let's plan our big things, and then pebbles, smaller things, and then fill it with sand. That's how we sort of come up with all the things we're doing, so we can do those 15-minute things alongside the things that might take a full week. But you're going to be wrong. Like, who is good at estimating work? I'm not. You guys? Maybe we should talk about that. But over time, you sort of figure out, like, what's my team's velocity? We'll get better at estimating work. We'll get better at making commitments. But you're going to really suck at it early on. It just takes time. It'll take like 6 months to really know, like, what's my team's velocity. And every time you add a team member, lose a team member, switch a team member, it changes because you're going through that storming, norming, and performing phase. So I think if you're in the mode of adopting Agile or fighting against, like, we're trying, but it's not working because we have some people on our team who don't care, I think just stick with it and find a scrum master, find a coach that can actually help and provide that interference while you figure it out. All right, time's up. Keep talking about this? No? All right, no. What's next? Chase, you're up. Hackathons.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we have slides for this one.
Hey! Pictures.
Yeah.
Actually, one picture.
One picture. Yeah. A lot of hard work on the slides we're not using.
I know. See if you can spot the luchador. So I'll talk about hackathons in kind of two different ways. One is just how CA, the Agile Central product train, runs internal hackathons, and then also what I teach customers when they're running their first hackathon, whether it be enterprise or coming across a product line. So first off, the way, probably have you come up and talk to it too. But the way that our cadence is set up within the product is, we have sprints all throughout the quarter, and then the last week before the quarter ends, we actually have a week-long hackathon every quarter, so where engineers can take time to and that's kind of the rules, is follow your passion and demo what you do. And so we have a lot of different weird, fun, interesting things that, so like last quarter we had a Amazon Alexa app where it create user stories for you so you can talk to it. And so like that was one. But there's a lot of others that actually end up making it in through the product, and we have a separate vetting process for that. But it's a great way to spend time and focus on the problems that you might have in the organization. And knowing that it's a week long, you can form teams, you can actually build buy-in and solve some real problems versus just kind of that 2-day hack on something and like maybe try out a new technology. So that's one thing that has been awesome within the Rally and CA Access Control product line of getting that through. Some of the other rules that I have for customers, and so when I'll go into some larger organizations who are trying to set these up as kind of like innovation days or kind of an HR event, these are some of the rules that I'll go over and just kind of help protect it a little bit. One is for people who've never run a hackathon, pitches kind of come with some baggage. So if you're like, hey, I want to work on this project, but it's also another way for me to work on pre-existing work, or my manager would like to basically get done. And so it's really a way of protecting whatever that time frame is. Usually it's a day or 2 days with some of our customers. A week is pretty long. But really enforcing that it's just a time to create and focus on what you want to do. And the second corollary part where that makes it a little bit safer is that everyone demos, right? Because there's this constant fear about, well, my entire engineering team is just going to slack off for 2 days and have these deadlines coming up. I'm trying to get this product released. But if you have everyone demo and then stack the judges, right? So all the judges that come in are, if you can aim for higher titles, the better, because then that's more visibility within an organization. And that does two things. One is it allows engineering teams to get that face time with executive people, or depending on how big your company is, obviously. But having that face time, and then also the leadership team seeing who the rising talent is, right? So who are the people that want to put in the extra hours? Who are the people coming up with creative solutions? So it has a two-way street of kind of elevating that. And then you don't want it to be just for engineers. So even though you might be building stuff, you also want to bring in some arts people, maybe some marketing people and say, does this have benefit? Salespeople, can you sell it, right? If you're really trying to create new business value for the organization. Healthy snacks, healthy code, that's just something that I've seen over the years. I think the whole thing about like energy, like Red Bull and the pizzas is kind of fading out, especially here in Colorado. But really kind of taking care of people during that day and not just like giving them slosh food. And with that, watch for poachers. So if you're going to run an event, make sure that the people participating in the event are protected, right? So even from people like stealing food, but then also kind of coming over different types of messaging or kind of trying to pull people off from the event. And that leads into the seventh part, which is you need to have a really good person facilitating it or enable people to learn facilitation techniques, because it is a time box, right? So you have a certain amount of time to come up with that, and if you can facilitate it really well, then a little bit more value is going to be created. Number 8, I like to do, so speaking of energy drinks, I have a fascination with Asian grocery stores. I'll go into them and find the weirdest energy drink that I can find. My favorite right now is Bacchus D. And there's also a couple other ones, like that one's from Korea, but it's basically asking for permission for unique items and doing things that you wouldn't normally be able to do. That creates a shared experience with all the development teams there. And so if you're able to share energy drink or massage chairs or setting up an espresso bar or any of those fun types of things that you wouldn't normally have, take that opportunity to do that. And that leads into, I like how these all lead into each other. What I've been calling the water cooler KPI, because when you're running a hackathon, it's really hard to measure the value of it. And so normally what I'll tell customers and people that are trying to set up their hackathons is focus in on what the conversations and the culture is afterwards, right? Because your goal should be to create a climate and environment of trust and innovation, and if you can keep doing this and then trust people to innovate more and more. And so your metric actually should be, what is the water cooler like? Do people enjoy the event? Would they show up again? Because they understand the value of their own time too. So that's one of the things that you should really focus on versus having a hard metric of, how many demos did we create? Is this going to, be a new product line to the business? And the best prize is funding, because a lot of people, they want to continue to follow their passion. Sometimes it can start up into, so we have an accelerator program in CA where new products get created and funded and stage gated that way. But more often than not, it could be just like, that's a great idea. Keep going on it for 2 months. We'll put a team against it and see if you can solve that really hard problem. So those are some of the rules and some of the things that I've seen. So I'd like to open it up for other people. Experiences with hackathons. I'm sure some of them will. Or not. That's cool.
you guys run hackathons inside your company, or is your experience going to other ones, like to APIs and IPAs? There was one recently.
Yeah.
Mostly external hackathons where you win like beer.
You win friendship.
Yeah.
Friendship.
You win networking.
Fair enough.
We're at time too.
All right. Perfect. Well, then I guess we can just vote, but I don't see any other hands, so I'll just move on. If that works.
It's 12:09. That means there's 6 minutes left. Crazy. Can I ask, like, this format of only coffee? You guys like it? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Cool. You guys actually get to like learn what you care about, ish, sort of. Okay. This is our first time doing a conference talk like this, so this is really fun for us too. But I learned that we shouldn't throw balls.
Art galleries.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
Shouldn't have Chase throw
Maybe
balls.
squishy balls.
Yeah.
Not as hard a ball.
Maybe like a beach ball.
I would say more like a gooch ball from back in the 90s.
All right. Yeah, that
Cool and nostalgic.
they got pretty sketch. Thanks for dealing with that. All right. So we have 5 minutes left, and we have 5 minutes on Agile during and after acquisition. So you want to do like 3 minutes on that topic, just super quick, open it for questions, and then we'll just sort of close with that really heavy topic.
Yeah. Because I think I already talked about it a little bit, so I'll be pretty brief. But it's been an interesting ride. And I'll just so
Awesome.
the opinions are my own. How many pictures, please? Yeah, this is actually the most pictures, so I'm excited. I think so. From my experience, I think anytime you go through an acquisition, there's going to be a change, whether you like it or not. So when I joined Rally, we were right about 120 people or so. We grew up to be over 500, and that included an IPO and massive hiring, and then also hiring an acquisition, right? So we went from 500 to 11,500. And there's a lot of changes that go with that, not only culturally, but processes and things like that. And it weirds a lot of people out because they're so worried about the change, or even though you inherently know that there's going to be change. And so for people like me, it was like, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity, especially, how do we maintain our not large-ish, but like we run Agile at scale, right? And so how do we bring that into an organization that's even bigger than us and help them transform internally? So that's something that actually CA is going through right now. And I think a lot of things that people realize is it's hard to do, especially all at once. Is if you have executive level buy-ins, which we do, which is it's phenomenal. I mean, that's one of the things that I think helps. But I think kind of also realizing that you're not going to change a larger organization overnight, right? And so CA got to be where it is because it has been very predictable. It has been doing all these things, and so you have to realize that there's caution set up because it can't change that fast. And so this is kind of like what I like to be instead. It's kind of like Typhoid Mary, right? So like every interaction you have should be positive and taking out some of those Agile cultural pieces where you can do, have one team start with a stand-up, right? It still feels like scrum butt, but it's better than nothing at all. Or having teams, just talk about their plans for the next 2 weeks, right? Maybe not even putting labels on it. That's something that I believe Google did when they were first starting out in their Agile process. They just, they didn't use any of the standard verbiage. They just like, hey, let's hang out for 10 minutes, just see what everyone on the team's doing, where are you blocked. So that's a great way to do it. And so that's kind of my mentality going in, and so that way you can kind of each drop of a little bit of better Agile culture, things like that, it kind of adds the pool, right? Because I think culture is similar to the internet where you can only add stuff into it and it's harder to take stuff out. Otherwise it gets angry at you because it takes stuff out of the internet. But that's kind of how I've been approaching it, and that's what I've seen the most successful in other teams is a lot of people really want to carry on the mission, and it has been. Because if you have a directive saying we're going to go Agile, that's not helpful, right? You almost can't have that on the other end of the spectrum either. So it has to be more led by the people in the grassroots that way. I hope longer than 3 minutes.
Yes, pretty exact. Well done.
All right.
All right, I think we're at time. Thank you guys so much. That was